Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Sunday.
The Eagles.
Sunday at
Close.
Ford Field. Braylon, this is a big one for the Detroit Lions, too. We're going to be joined by Chris Spielman in just a couple of minutes, but big game for the Detroit Lions. You heard Jason Avant, who is very close to the Philadelphia Eagles, say Jared Goff's going to have a big game, and I do think that he thinks the Lions are going to win this one.
Yeah, I think most people think the Lions are going to win this one, at least have a chance to win. If you look at what they did last week against the Los Angeles Rams, they had the Los Angeles Rams in their crosshairs. They had them dead to right. They had them in their sights, and they just didn't get it done at the end of the game. With that being said, they definitely showed you what they're capable of. You saw Jared Goff that was focused, making good throws, right throws. So got to get that win off that momentum last week.
No doubt about it. Let's bring him in right now. Many people buying a ticket for the Detroit Lions to see this guy at halftime. He's a special assistant to the owner and CEO of the Detroit Lions, Chris Spielman, 54. My goodness, sir, what an honor to speak with you. Thanks so much for the time, and congratulations on Sunday.
Yeah, Chris.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Coach Harbaugh.
You got it. While I got you, you got a thought on the game at all? Michigan
we couldn't
State?
get it all, Bruce.
What's up, Braylon? How are you?
Chris, I'm doing well. Congratulations to you. You obviously know my dad, Big Stan, who will actually be there this week for the Lions Alumni Weekend, as well as celebrating you going to the Pride. So, glad, proud to be a part of that. Glad to have been there to watch you as a kid in the Lions Silverdome for years, man, and just really appreciate you. I know you're an O State guy, but guess what? You're one of those State guys I think is okay in my book.
All right, I'll take it.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you first and foremost, when you're doing that video that was seen millions of times,
oh, man.
My goodness, that was one of the greatest things. Whoever's idea that was, give them a raise, okay? That was an incredible thing. Just kind of speak to that moment, what that was like when you realized what was going on.
Well, it was actually Kevin Anderson's idea, who was kind of chief of staff for Coach Campbell here, and Emily Griffin working with our marketing department. I guess they put it together, so I owe them one. But I think the telling thing about that is that such a team game, and if you're reading something or reading about stats or stuff, you really don't comprehend what you're reading because it could be so many guys. And I think where I kind of realized, hey, maybe they were talking about me was when we were talking about the 1992 NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, we got smoked by the Washington football team at that time. But then it kind of kicked in. And when that moment kicks in, you think that, oh, my gosh, the first thing you think of, right, is your family. I thought of my late wife, Stephanie. I thought of my wife now, Carrie, who's on this second football journey with me, all my children. And I think about your teammates, because we know that football is the greatest team game in the world, and nothing is accomplished or no success would be accomplished without the guys that I had in front of me. Just like with Braylon, and any success he had is directly correlated with the quarterback or directly correlated with the offensive line. And so when you receive an individual honor, you better recognize that it's a team honor. If you don't, then you're a selfish son of a gun, in my opinion.
No, you're 100% right. No one does it in football without the other 10 men doing something to help that success. Chris, do me a favor. Just talk about that 91 season, obviously the 92 NFC Championship. That was a special season for us, the last special season the Detroit Lions have had. And we've had Lomas on there who's talked about it. I've talked to Barry at Golf Outings. We also had Calvin. We've also had Herman on here, and they've talked about that. Just talk about what that season meant to you guys, drafting well and getting in a position to kind of be there to make that run.
Yeah, I think, first of all, we always knew we had a chance. We had a core group. We had a foundation, right? And that foundation was built, I thought, in the 88 draft. I think whenever Lomas and Glove were drafted, I think a couple years before 85 or 86. So we had a good young core group. And then my draft class included myself and Benny Blades and William White, Eric Andelstack. All this turned out to be pretty good players. Then, of course, in 89, that's when Barry came around. And when you have a great player like Barry, you always felt like you were in every game. And I think for us, that year was special. And you know what was really cool about that year? And this is not, I don't know if Lomas or Glove or Barry ever talked about this, but that year, not only were we close in the locker room, we were really close outside of the locker room. We always did something together on Friday nights as a team. There'd be 25 to 30 guys show up with their wives, kids, girlfriends. And it was something that we started playing for each other. And teams become special when each player looks in the huddle or looks around the locker room and says to themselves, my only fear is to let that guy down. I fear no opponent. I fear no other player on any other team. The only fear that I play with is to let my buddy or my fellow warrior down. And when you have that type of feeling, that's when you have a special team.
Chris, yesterday we had a meeting here at Woodward Sports. Our boss, Chad Johnson, he echoed those exact words you just said. He said, we got to get out. We got to get together. We got to all be together. We all got to look after each other. So that means a lot to hear that coming from your mouth. I wanted to ask you, we've always asked you to get into coaching. How come you haven't coached? And that's when you were broadcasting. And we've had your broadcasting partners on. We had Kevin Kugler on the other day, Sean McDonough, and they all love you. And you said, I don't want to do this every single day, because when you're in this game, we know you live at Allen Park. What made you decide to take this gig?
Well, I'll address the not coaching thing. Is life circumstances take us down to certain roads, right? And at the time when I did leave the NFL, we were dealing with stuff at home with the health situation of my wife, and I know the amount of time that coaching takes, and I just made a decision. I made a decision that I had 3 young kids at home and a 4th on the way, and I didn't know what her future was going to hold, to be quite frank. And so I never was able to maybe pursue the dream of coaching, but fortunately for me, I got an opportunity in media and in broadcasting, so I was able to stay connected through football along the way. Now, why I decided to come and join the Lions again, because a couple of things. The timing was right? My youngest daughter graduated high school last year. I have a loving, supportive wife now who wanted me to take this shot. And so the biggest example I can give you of what my youngest daughter said to me, I was up here for about a month and I would go home on the weekend. And she said, Dad, I've really never seen you so happy. Why are you so happy all the time? And I looked at her and said, Audrey, for the last 25 years, man, I had a job where winning and losing wasn't on the line. Now I got a job when winning and losing is on the line. And quite frankly, that's how I breathe, man, when you have something on the line. That's just how I'm built.
Talking to Chris Spielman,
We're lucky to have you.
Yeah, absolutely, special assistant
right there,
to the
baby.
owner and CEO. And Chris, for many Lions fans, when you were brought into the organization, I think we all collectively kind of said, okay, thankfully.
Yeah.
Thankfully it's a guy that we know that at least is gonna
Hold them accountable.
whatever the case may be. We just felt good about it as a Lions fan base. Can you speak to the, I mean, you know the story. I mean, the frustration of Lions fans and patience and getting it right and building towards somebody. What would you tell Lions fans is different this time than the other times before?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Sheila. So Sheila took over the team, right? And Sheila set a direction. I had a conversation with her toward the end of last season, right before, probably a week before I was hired, and the conversation was, about culture. Now, everybody uses the term culture, right? But everybody says it, but not everybody does it. The other thing about culture and culture changing is that people are all jacked up for it for the first 3 or 4 months, but you have to commit to it. And Sheila is committed to changing the culture, not only within the football program, but within the whole organization. And there's been a lot of things done around here that nobody will read about, but it's the feeling now is that there's not 2 different organizations, the football side and the business side. There's one organization. And that organization is that not everybody works for the Detroit Lions, but everybody is a Detroit Lion. And people sign their name to that. And for example, last 2 weeks ago, I went down to Ford Field and met with some sales folks down there and the ticket sales and, guys fresh out of high school and, fresh out of college. And we sat in a room and we talked for an hour and a half and we just talked ball. And we talked about the Lions. We talked about the NFL. We talked about, this is what's happening. This is how we're going to do. This is where we're going. This is the direction. I had them give me their feedback. What do you think? How do you think? What do you believe? Are you all in on this? Are you going to be able to stay in for the long haul? And so when you invest in people, then they know that job is just as important as Jared's job or Coach Campbell's job or Brad Holmes' job. Everybody's job is important for the organization to have success. And that's how you get a culture change, when you invest in everybody. And from Sheila, Rod, down to Raquel and Corey, who work here at nights to get this place sparkling clean every day, we're all the same, and we're all striving for one goal.
Hey, Chris, just a question the Lion fans want to know. We all really want to know. And there's always three sides to a story. When will things get right with Calvin Johnson?
I don't speak to that. That would be a question for Rod or Sheila.
Hey, Chris, let me ask you. Rod Wood's name seems to be a lightning rod name for Detroit Lions fans. What can you tell us about him? What would you want Lions fans to know about Rod Wood?
Sure. Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Rod. I mean, Rod is the one that also, along with Sheila, gave me this opportunity. Rod was, we were one of four in the committee. Nobody had a stronger vote or a weaker vote when we went through the hiring process. And so to me, my experience with Rod has always been good. I think he's done a great job with the alumni. He's always been very supportive. Rod is a very hands-off president, but an involved president. What I mean by that Brad and Dan call the shots. Rod's obviously there doing his job and his responsibilities, but he's a very smart guy. He wants to win. He's a Lions fan. He's committed to the organization. But what I love about Rod is that Rod knows what he does well, and he also knows that we have a general manager, head coach in place, and to let them do their job at the highest level. And he's strictly in the football area. He's a wonderful support person to have around. So everybody should know that, and that's the truth because I live it every day.
Talking to four-time Pro Bowler, one-time All-Pro, two-time All-Pro, Mr. Chris Spielman. Chris, here's a fun story. It involves a guy by the name of Rick Spielman. So my pro day in Ann Arbor, this is the year I'm coming out. I'm going to the NFL draft, and we didn't have a quarterback that was coming out that was going to be in the draft. We didn't have any young guys from Eastern that were, because sometimes they'll let Eastern guys come up, and we didn't have an Eastern quarterback. We didn't have anybody near. They didn't let Chad Henne do it because he was going to be eventually later on down the line. So guess who was my quarterback for my pro day? All the marbles, all the chips on the line. I didn't do the combine because I wanted to wait till pro day. Rick Spielman is my quarterback for pro day. This is when he was with the GM. He was a GM for the Dolphins at the time. Yeah. But I tell you this, he warmed up. He had a couple iffy ones in the beginning. And he threw some ropes the rest of my my workouts. So I was nervous, but I'm telling you, your brother got me through it. Nice. So I'm very, very appreciative for his arm at my pro day.
He made you that number 3 overall pick.
I'm trying to tell you, he didn't take me second, but he helped me go third. He helped me go third to the Browns.
That's got to be history, Braylon. The first time a general manager actually quarterbacked for an individual workout for a wide receiver.
I'm telling you, and then when they didn't take me, I was like, it makes sense now.
Then he should blame himself for not taking it.
That's it.
And there it is. But it all worked out. I thought that was a great story.
Chris, give me Michigan.
Rick was a quarterback in high school, and actually in one game threw for 316 yards. This was back in 1982, I believe. He was a junior, and I was a sophomore at Massillon, and he could sling it. Now he's a little limited athletically. That's maybe why he didn't quite make it in the league as a linebacker. But I'll tell you, man, that doesn't surprise me that you say that, because you talk about selfless human beings. when we talk about any individual accomplishments that I received, I mean, your older brother, right? How cool is it when there's only two of us and your older brother is your best friend? And the cool thing about that, before you guys ask, the one thing that we've always been able to do, whether I was in TV or whether I'm here now with the Lions and he's with the Vikings, is that there's so much respect and love for each other that we never put each other in an awkward position, and we have boundaries and we respect them to the death. So that's how that works.
23 years later, he still had a lot of zip on that ball. I tell you.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, Michigan State. Give me your pick here. And can either one of these teams beat your Buckeyes?
No. Let's
All right. I didn't think so.
Let's not get crazy, man.
That's the Chris Spielman I know.
I know, Oregon.
But here,
Come on
I'll
now.
say this. I'm not one of the Ohio guys or the Ohio State fans or ex-players. I like it when Michigan's good. I like it when Michigan State's good, because that means that rivalry, as Braylon will tell you, is special, man. It is what it is, and it's better when everybody's good, right? Then you get to compete against the best. And you get to compete in the best game when both teams are at their best. There's no better feeling than that. In regards to this week, I just think, look, when I worked for ESPN, I probably did maybe six Michigan State games, including the fumbled punt and the return where Sean McDonough was on the call, which is a great call, which I'm sure hopefully you guys will play
We do.
on your show, because it's worth a listen. And I love the rivalry, and it gets a little nasty, but there's nothing wrong with that. And I love it because of the interstate rivalry, because a lot of the players know each other. They played against each other, and they've been doing battle not only since they've been in college, but throughout high school and Little League. I would probably give the edge to Michigan right now, but in this game, man, because I've done too many of them, you just never know.
Hey, Chris, we got. Do you have that, Alex?
We got trouble with the snap. Here you go, Chris.
Get it out. Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State. Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable.
Is that great or what? Oh my gosh, that is so great.
But I just want to talk about the teamwork that went on in the booth. Right before we played that, I said, first thing you got to do, the punter, catch it and get it off. That's it. Just it doesn't matter. Game's over. Then for Sean to make that call, then our spotter in the booth to get to Sean, who recovered the fumble, because it's Jalen Jack. What's his middle name?
Jalen Watts Jackson.
Yeah, Jalen Watts Jackson picks it up, and so our spotter, because of his timing and the teamwork that we had in that booth, he's pointing to number 20 on the Michigan State side. So Sean's making the call, looking to see who recovered it, and you would never know that because he did it so smooth, and the crack in the voice and all that. It was probably one of Sean, who's had many, by the way, great calls. Probably, I think Sean would consider that one, if you asked him. I don't know, maybe you guys did, that might be his top one.
Oh, yeah. He was on with us 2 weeks ago and talked about that. Hey, Chris, look, man, for a kid who admired you growing up, I remember that 54 jersey I got for Christmas one year, and that thing didn't come off for a while. What a pleasure to speak with you, sir. Thanks so much for the time, and best of luck with the Lions moving forward. We're all counting on you.
Love you.
All right, good. Hey, that's all right. I can handle it, man. I love it, and I appreciate it, guys. I really do, and all I can say is, when it turns, it's going to turn, and it's not going to turn temporary. It's going to turn for sustained good. And I firmly believe that with all my heart, I wouldn't be sitting here.